All right, guys, welcome to the week 2 class meeting for module 154. As always, thank you for your time and joining me today. I'm so glad y'all could take the time from your busy schedules. Let's see, today we're going to talk a little bit about chapters 13 and 14. A little bit about the surgical package, just a couple of concepts I want to make sure everybody has a good grasp on for that. Those of you that have taken the 13 exam already have done really good, so kudos there. Good job. Those of you who haven't, if you need any individual review help beforehand, get with me. We can do it. Okay. We're also going to talk a little bit about chapter 14, the chapter y'all are supposed to start reading today. So we're going to highlight a few things on there for y'all to go forward with. All right, so let's see, any major announcements right now? I don't think so. We had a student graduate this week. Miss Lastacia Henderson finished her program. So congrats to her. And Stacia was an awesome, she was one of those students that I don't think I've ever seen her face. I never talked to her on the phone. We talked via text message and email, and she did the thing. She just buckled down and just really did the thing, and got through it with a great grade. So hopefully that everybody will have the same kind of success that she's gonna have. All right, so let's jump into or talk a little bit about chapter 13 in the surgical package, just review a little bit about that. A couple of concepts I want to make sure that you guys are familiar with. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in just a sec. Gotta love Zoom. Okay. Can you guys see this? Okay, so some of y'all Patricia's probably already seen this from last go round. This is a little presentation I threw together. You haven't? Really?
Mm-mm.
Well, this is a little presentation that I threw together about the surgical package. Fun little activity. Y'all may recognize a few of the slides from the whole thing from the assignment, the lab assignment from the other day. And then also chapter 13 bonus questions were a couple of the slides as well. So I hope that y'all have enjoyed this. It was kind of fun to put together. All right, so what's included in the surgical package? We have preoperative visits, interoperative services, complications following surgery, post-operative visits, supplies, miscellaneous services, which would include dressing changes, cast changes, catheter removals, any of those add-on ancillary services. Okay, so preoperative visits, that's going to encompass when you're having some type of procedure done. The visits that you have right before that procedure, there's usually one or two that you have, and you may get x-rays depending on what they're doing. They may have to run labs, to check your blood work and make sure that you're okay to have this surgery. Those preoperative visits are included in what's called the surgical package. And basically what that is, guys, they take a certain procedure, like let's say, for example, a back surgery, like what I had last year. I had several visits before I went the day of surgery, one to have x-rays and one to do lab work the day before to make sure I was good to go for the next day. And then I had a couple of visits afterwards. And those visits were not billed separately because they were included in that surgical package. They were what's called bundled. And when you have any type of procedure like that, they will do that. they will do that. All the basic services, if they're the same and it goes into that procedure every single time, they will include that in payment in the big bundle. Okay. Let's see. A lot of the times when you have a procedure done, if you have anything, any complications following, any type of infections, things like that, they will also include that in the surgical package, any follow-up visits, things like that for a certain amount of time. Let's see, any supplies that may go into said procedure, like a surgical tray, IVs, anything like that, that they are basic materials that they're going to have every time they do this procedure. They'll include those. What's not included? You want to make sure that you remember that general anesthesia is never included in your surgical package. That's billed by the anesthesiologist that performs those services. Different doctor, different services. Anesthesia, it's always its own entity. That's why they have their entire own chapter in the CPT manual. Because their services are theirs. Nobody else's messes with those. Some follow-up care for complications, exacerbations, reoccurrence, and the presence of other diseases that require additional services. So like I was saying, sometimes those complications are included and sometimes they're not. It depends. Like if it's a complication that's expected almost or common, it may be included. But if, say, 2 days after you have a surgery on your foot, you go get on a trampoline and mess something up, well, that's of your own doing, right? So why should that be included in the surgery charges? You wouldn't have had those charges if you hadn't acted the fool. So sometimes they are not included. Who can tell me, well, y'all can read it here, but who knows or understands what a global period is? We can kind of describe it. Not in those words.
I do.
Tell us about it, Claire.
So, a global period is the amount of time that a basically the surgery process. Your global period is some have 10 days, some have 90 days. It just depends. And honestly, I don't know what that deciding factor is to depend, but I'm sorry, I'm driving in traffic.
No, you're fine. Fine.
It's basically you have 90 days to pretty much heal after a surgery, where it's considered post-operative.
Right.
After that, then you're basically like being charged. Like I had a patient, for instance, that it was like a day. It was day 91. And we had to run it like an established patient.
Yeah.
Extensive because they were that one day out of
outside the global period. Yep. That's exactly correct. That's very well said. It's a certain amount of time, guys, and I think the deciding factor on how much time after, like Claire said, anywhere from 10 to 90 days. Like after my back surgery, that was 90 days. I saw the doctor every 30 days, probably for like, I know I had a couple follow-ups, I think one at the 6-month mark. Like after I saw him that last, like at 3 months, I saw him at 30 days, 60 days, and then 90 days. And then I had a 6-month follow-up just to make sure that everything was copacetic, right? But those 3 directly after were in my global period. And it depends on what kind of procedure it is. And I'm sure somewhere there's a panel of doctors, professors, whoever in the American Medical Association or whoever that decided what those global periods are and adjust them as needed, right? We know that medicine changes over time, so these things can change. advancements with procedures. Some procedures aren't even used anymore, right? So that's how the global period works. It's a certain time frame after the procedure is done where the medical care is covered. Um, related care. There is times where you'll have unrelated care that happens during that time that, because it's unrelated, it's not going to be considered inside that global period. It has nothing to do with that procedure. Okay. Well said, Claire.
So basically that's 6 weeks care.
Roughly. Yeah.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, you said 6 months. I had a 6-month checkup and a year checkup, and yep, had to pay those specialty copays for that.
That's right. Specialty copays do apply.
Yeah.
All right. So with this activity, and I'm not going to go through all of them, just a couple, but the activity was to go through the slides and determine if the item or service is part of the surgical package, and then upload a document with your answers. Were there any on here that y'all had trouble with? Any stump y'all? Any questions?
I believe I had one or two, but I don't remember what they were. I'd have to, when you go through the slides, it'll trigger. Sure.
Okay. Let's see. We had the first one was the surgical tray. So obviously that's a yes, right? These are basic supplies. E&M visit at 6 months pregnant. Kind of a tricky question because when it comes to obstetrics, it's kind of its own ball game. Depending on the doctor, generally when they have the pregnancy is its own package. Basically, when a doctor takes you on for a pregnancy, it's essentially, you're not so much paying for every single visit you go to. If you have and it kind of depends on if you have a normal pregnancy or a high risk pregnancy, how often the doctor is going to have to see you. But I know for my personal OBGYN, like, it was known what the entire birth was going to cost me basically, and how much insurance was going to cover and how much I was going to cover. And they let me work out a payment plan throughout pregnancy, basically, of what my portion was going to be. So yeah, so an E&M visit, which is a basic checkup at 6 months pregnant, would probably be considered bundled and included in that. Now, if you're talking about the delivery surgical package, like I said, obstetrics, unless you are billing for an OBGYN, is not something you're going to have to worry about a lot. All right, second unrelated surgical procedure during the global period. Yes or no? I'm seeing a big keyword. Unrelated. Unrelated. So that's going to be a no. All right. Suture removal.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is. They got to put them in, they got to take them out, right? So that's going to be included. Post-op x-rays to check placement of a device. Absolutely. They had to check and make sure what they did was correct and still holding. All right. E&M office visit, 30 days post-op follow-up. Follow-up on a procedure.
I would say yes, it's within the 90 days.
That's kind of a tricky one, because most of the time, yes, but it again is going to depend on the procedure, the global period, and how all that falls. It's kind of procedure dependent, whether or not at 30 days they're going to charge or not. Usually they don't, though. Usually it would be included. General anesthesia.
No.
Nope. Pre-op x-rays to determine surgical necessity.
That's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
Because pre-op, that means you're not sure if you need it or don't. That would come from your primary, I would think.
Yep. Okay, on this one, we're determining surgical necessity. So essentially, we've not even decided if we need surgery yet. So I guess we would really want to take pre-op out of there, huh? Yep. So if we're still determining surgical necessity, we're not yet going to be inside that surgical package. We're going to be on our way there. We're still determining diagnosis, essentially, or how severe the problem is to see if it needs surgery. Now, if it was just pre-op x-rays to just check placement or something like that, to make sure that nothing has, like, in my back, the herniation was at one size. If it got worse before we did surgery, they'd want to know that, right? They'd want to know what they're going to see when they go in to look. Okay. E&M inpatient visit for a baby more than 24 hours after delivery.
Yes.
Nope. Here's why. The delivery and the surgical package are going to be associated with the mother, not the baby. Once the baby is born, it starts its own medical chart and it's its own entity. Okay. So any visits, and plus you got to think about it this way too. Your OBGYN may not necessarily be the pediatrician that checks on your baby in the nursery. That's probably going to be two different doctors. So your pediatrician is not going to have anything to do with your delivery and surgical package. So no, the E&M visit for the baby at 24 hours after delivery would not be included. E&M visit to address complications from an initial procedure.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, if the complications are directly related to said procedure, then yeah, they should be, at least for a certain amount of time, they're going to be, covered or included. All right, so very good. All right, so do y'all think y'all have a good understanding of this surgical package, global periods, what all that terminology is anyway? Awesome sauce.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. All right. Well, look.
Keyword placement.
Yes, y'all. You got to pay attention to the wording. They like to trip you up where they can. Okay, so we're gonna talk real quick about what's coming up in chapter 14. You're actually gonna have that exam on, I think, Tuesday, so we're not gonna meet again before then. Chapter 14 is the integumentary system, which covers a lot of different things. Skin, nails, breasts in some situations, different debridement, deconstruction, sutures, burns, all that kind of thing dealing with the skin and tissue, your nails, and all that outer organ system, basically. Okay, that's all going to be included in chapter 14. Some things that y'all want to pay close attention to: the different types of what they call lesions. There's different types of skin issues, and there's a whole list in your book in chapter 14 where it goes over what is a lesion, what is a tumor, what is a fissure, what is, all these different ailments and illnesses that apply to the skin and tissue. Pay close attention to those. There's a fair amount of new vocabulary that y'all are going to run into in chapter 14, some medical terminology. So you're going to be, I think, Monday, you're going to be getting a vocabulary worksheet as part of your lab. And y'all can find, I don't know if y'all have figured this out yet, but there is a very thorough glossary in the back of your textbook. Very thorough glossary. Anything that they mention in this book is in that glossary. So if you're having issues with the vocabulary, the glossary is a great place to start instead of rereading the chapter, maybe. Try checking the glossary. Chapter 14 exam is going to be set up very similar, and they're all going to run like that, guys. Like I had mentioned last week, we're following that CPT manual chapter by chapter, okay? Each one at a time, one section at a time. So when you're doing your tests, and we even had this issue on last week's Zoom when we were coding the anesthesia, and we didn't look into anesthesia first, right? In the alphabetic index, we just started going to the stuff, and we figured out that none of our codes were starting with 0, so we were obviously in the wrong section. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to the code sets and the numbering, so you guys can automatically know when you're doing your test, if the code you're coming up with is not out of that section, out of that chapter, it's not going to be the right code, right? So we need to look a different way, try something different. If y'all need help with that, let me know. I am here, like I said, after the holidays, we're going to start our CPT and ICD-10 workshops again. And y'all need to let me know when. I did it like 7 o'clock at night last year, or last time we went through 154, and that worked for a lot of people, especially the people who had to work during the day. But that doesn't really work for me anymore if my husband is out of town that night. Then it's just me and the kid, and I have a hard time wrangling her. So let's see if maybe there's a time during the day, or maybe even on the weekend, when we can have those workshops that's convenient for more people. So y'all just let me know via reminder, text, or whatever, how y'all feel about that, what would be a good time for y'all, okay? And we'll I'll put everything together, and we'll formulate something. Y'all will see that your extra credit assignment for winter break is up. It is visible, but not open yet, so no, don't do it now. Wait to do it over the holidays, where you don't get out of the habit of being in school. I don't know if y'all saw in news and announcements, but the powers that be are having an attendance contest. If you get perfect attendance for the next 2 weeks, you either get 25 points towards your grade or a gift from Unitech. And it's a small gift, guys. We're talking t-shirts, pins, things like that. But so choose the 25 points. That's where it's at. Okay. And I'm more than happy to give that to y'all. Some of y'all are going to get it automatically, like you two right there. Claire and Patricia will get that automatically because they're here every day. Let's see. Anything else we need to talk about? Do you guys have any questions for me? Claire, what you got?
I just have one question.
You got something too, Jerica?
Yes, ma'am. But Claire can go ahead first.
What's up, Claire?
Wait, I don't have any questions.
Oh, you don't? I thought you had your hand up, or you were saying bye.
No, I had a question. I had a question about one of the slides, but I lost signal when y'all were doing that.
All right.
So I'll just go back and watch it.
Just watch it, and look, if you still need clarification, just text me.
I will do.
All right, cool. What you got, Miss Jerica?
Now, I understood when you said about the skin, the nail, and when you said the bread, you said somewhat. Now, when you say somewhat, like what exactly would be like? What would like? How would we put that with chapter 14 when you say something? Like, does it have to be having like surgery or something or
Right.
implant or something
There's
like that?
different procedures that you can have on the breast, whether they're medical or cosmetic.
Mhm.
And sometimes it may be just a tissue thing, or it may be like if it's cancer, a complete mastectomy or something like that. And different procedures can fall in different categories, depending
Okay.
on whether you're talking about the skin and tissue of the breast, or if you're talking about a cancer procedure or tumor excision, something like that. They can be found in different sections.
Okay. And another thing, the anesthesia, no matter what type of anesthesia it is, they have their own person that will like code that for them. Like we don't interfere with that.
Right. The anesthesia, whoever is that anesthesiologist works for, will have
Mhm.
their own billing people that are going to code and bill their stuff. If you work for a surgeon, you're going to code that surgeon stuff. You're not going to code the anesthesiologist that works with them. It's just
Okay.
like
So
right. Like let's say you work for a general surgeon and you're working on somebody's colon for something. And while your surgeon's in there, they find a big massive tumor. Well, your surgeon is a general surgeon. They're not a specialist having to do with urology and things like that, or cancer. They may not be an oncologist, So they may call somebody in while that patient's still on the table. But whoever bills for that doctor and codes for that doctor is going to do their stuff. You're going to do your doctor's stuff,
okay.
they're going to do their doctor's stuff. Now, more than
Okay.
likely, while you're trying to get claims paid and things like that, you and that other doctor's biller will probably be in communication at some point, sharing notes, sharing whatever that y'all need to get the claims paid.
Because they're probably in the procedure together or something like that. So we'll both have to make sure that it's aligning up correct.
Right. And you
Okay.
can't, another thing is you can't contradict each other. Sometimes you'll have a surgeon say that we were operating on the left hand, and the other surgeon will say we were operating on the right hand. The insurance company is going to deny both of them because it's conflicting, which will know somebody's wrong somewhere. So you got to get on
Right.
the same page. And sometimes it's as simple as a typo. There was one trauma surgeon that I worked for at some point, and they were always confusing the left and the right. I'm talking like whole legs and arms,
And they may
So we would have to go back and verify the surgical notes and the operative reports and go into the hospital system and pull their records and see what everybody else's notes said to verify what our information. Sometimes you turn into a researcher. So
just to make sure it's coded correctly.
that's
You
right.
don't want to bill them for the wrong thing.
As accurate as humanly possible. As accurate as you can be. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
No problem. That's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. All right, ladies. Well, if y'all don't have anything else for me, that's all I got for y'all today. And I wish y'all a blessed weekend and happy holidays. We're gonna have one more Zoom before winter break. So I'm gonna try to come up with something fun for us to do next week.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Bye.